I'm going to do an update for October on what's going on in the garden. It's the beginning of October now. Pretty much the same as what was in September. I've still got some squash plants growing in the front yard in the swimming pools and broccoli. So let's kind of go through fairly quick. Here is those tubs, these plastic tubs that I use that I compost in and then I plant in directly or in pots. I've got squash still growing in them. Tomatoes are coming up. Oh, look at this, my fig tree. I rooted that from a little stick. Okay, let's swing around. My ginger, I'm going to harvest that pretty soon, I hope, because boy, I looked inside and I've got big ginger in there. Stevia is growing in there. Celery comes up everywhere. Tomatoes. These are tomatoes. The squash, I've got to harvest them. This particular squash plant, it's a hybrid. That's done. Dinosaur kales are doing really good. Those do not come out of the ground. I grow them like a tree now. So as long as they're alive, they get trimmed up, taken care of, and that's it. They stay. I've got them in the ground. And oh, and that blue tub there, that's just like a raised bed. There's no bottom on that. A lot of pots in the ground, even the black ones, I cut the bottoms out. So I do it both ways. So we've got celery and Swiss chard in there. I've got peppers, different types of peppers growing in there. See, the peppers are coming through here. Okay, I got to be careful with these. These are one of the hottest peppers. I touched them once. Thought I was going to end up in the hospital after I chopped them up, thinking, oh, look, I can handle them. Oh, no. Boy, my hands burn all night. Okay, let's swing slowly over here. And these, again, are the tubs, the way I show on how I compost in place. A lot of stuff still growing in here. Let's see, there's a cantaloupe I'll be taking out soon. There's peppers in there. And of course my mushroom plant, they're coming through. That's in a pot sitting on top of the compost. This is sitting on top of the compost. This is the Russian red kale. See? These are in pots. You can't really see, but the pots are sitting on top of the way I compost. I've got to do a whole video on that too, because that works out sometimes even better than planting in them. These are the bins that I'm still starting to set up to compost. My strawberries, looking a little dry because it's really at the end of its season, but it's still growing some strawberries. I ate strawberries yesterday. Let's see, the mint. I know, shame on me, it's on the ground. You know what? I've pulled it out when I had to. I don't have problems in the wood chips. Just grab it, pull it, and it's gone. Okay, so that's orange mint, and then swinging over here all over the ground. That grows a little bit different than the orange mint. It's not as thick as the chocolate mint, but it grows good. And that's in the ground. And then my broccoli. This is my sprouting broccoli. That is all grown in the ground. Look at that. Eat it all the time. I love sprouting broccoli. Oh, I lost some eggplants. I figured out why. Should do a video on that. You know what? I'll just tell you real quick. See the eggplant that died? See the yellow eggplant on there? Let me see if I can zoom in on that. That is a ripe eggplant. Eggplants that are purple are not ripe. I don't like eggplant. I don't pull it quick enough. So when you don't pull your eggplants off and you leave them, which I did on another bush, when they turn yellow, it must trigger and tell the plant you have been successful, because that's the seeds you can grow and you no longer need to live, and it kills it. I have found that all the eggplants that I have removed the eggplant off of live. So now I know that if I want to keep them, get the purple ones off before they turn yellow. Because if I just leave them on like I did there, they will die. And that's how my eggplants work. Okay, collard. Picked those up a couple trays once at the 99-cent store. And I don't even like collard, but it grows everywhere. Oh yeah, I've got oregano on the bottom. That's in a pot. That's why it's stunted and small leaves down there. And then I've got my papaya. You know, the one on my deck is far bigger than this one. But still, that's nice. It should be going to seed. Yes, they are. Look at that. This will open up and have a little fluffy little like flower seed. Do I have any? Actually, no, that's collard peeking through. No, they haven't opened yet. So I will be collecting the seeds. I do not do well in my garden planting papaya in the ground. It must taste good. roly-polies, anything, birds, they pull it right out and they eat the popolo when they're seedlings. The moment they start getting a little round leaf, because the first leaf is like long, really long, the moment they get a little round leaf, nothing eats them. So then I can put them in the ground, just move them, put them in the ground, everything's fine. That's what I did here. And back there. Oh, wait, let me see if this one's flowering. This one came up. You know, I think I threw a bunch of seeds in here. Yes, I did. And I put a basket down there with netting over it, so nothing got to it, and a couple of them did come up here. So I did plant these in the ground, but you have to cover it. I used tooling, and I covered this pot, and sure enough, I ended up with one. No, they have not quite opened yet. They will be opening really soon. Okay, so we've got that. So if you do want to plant popolo, protect it really well, and once it gets a couple leaves on it, nothing will touch it. You can uncover it. Oh, collard came up from seeds, volunteers. I'm leaving them for the winter. And let's see. I know I've got peppers in here. There's a pepper, because I know there's peppers in there. That's a black pepper. It will turn red when it's ripe. So I got peppers and celery. Got a little bit of lettuce down there. I'm starting a new compost bin there. Just throwing in leaves and different things. Let's see. Radishes, they went to seed kind of, and they're going to seed. Red Swiss chard, tomatoes. This came up as a volunteer, but look at that, how nice. Oregano is, no, it's not oregano, it's cilantro. It's an herb. And I've got a zucchini growing in there. Let's swing around over here. I've got more, this is zucchini. Again, the zucchini is in the pot, as you can see, the compost pot that I made, how I compost in place. But these are not. The rest of them are all growing in pots, so I can move them, but they grow so much better. Literally, really, really good. I love doing it that way. Another one, it's got tomatoes in it. I think that's a broccoli plant in there. And more tomatoes. We're going to kind of get towards the end of our tomato season because it's nice and cool now. Well, it's cool right now. It was 90 yesterday, but it's going to cool down. Let's see, what else do we have? We've got the garlic chives that are all flowering down there. That's all seeds on top of the collard. A lot of it has fallen. I don't need that many seeds, so I leave them. The birds ate them, and they still eat them. They move them around the garden. Red sorrel. Another squash that came up. Oh, that was a squash that sat here for a year. I just left it. Didn't want to bring it in. It looked like a spaghetti squash, a little yellow one. Well, it kind of busted open, and it dropped its seeds in that pot. That's a pot in there, and it's growing now, so we'll see. Celery is back there. Walking onions. That's, again, garlic chives. But that's all walking onions in there. There's walking onions everywhere. Red Russian kale back there. I should trim that up. That's in the ground. Those are all directly in the ground. More mint. This is spearmint. This has kind of gotten out of the control. But we use so much mint. So I'm going to cut that back a little bit though anyways. Okay, here's the eggplant. See, I've taken care of this eggplant. And I've been trimming them off. Actually, my husband came through. Let's see if we can get through here. See? But there is a yellow one on the other plant. There were 2 eggplants in here. The one that's yellow is dying. I got to get that off today. I saw that yesterday because I left that one. And a ripe eggplant is yellow. Those are the ones you want to collect the seeds and grow. The purple ones, when you take them out, you cut them open and take the seeds out, a lot of those will not grow. I found out because a purple eggplant is not right. It's like eating a green bell pepper. It's not right. So I've got to trim the other one down if I want to save the eggplant and get the yellow one off and trim it down. It should be good to go. This is all celery. It all went to seed. This is why I grow celery everywhere. No matter where I want it or don't want it, it grows. I mean, I could pop it out, but I end up leaving it. I figured it struggled so hard to grow. Oh, look, our friendly skunk made a hole. This is early in the morning. Okay, so we got more red Russian kale in there. That's just flowers that came up. I think they're called 4 o'clocks. That came up on its own. Look at the collard. Look at the collard. That's amazing. And I know why it's that big. Okay. And we got sage growing against the house here. And then celery came up. It was lettuce in there. It went to seed. I collected some of the seeds. More walking onions. I want to trim those down. And I think I've got a bunch of lettuce coming up in there because it fell in there, which is good. And peppers. Oh, look, I'm making my own, whoops, sorry about that, compost tea. I've got to tell you how to do that. It's free and it's so good. The plants love it. Absolutely love it. I think I've done the other thing. Let me swing slowly back around one more time over here. Let's see. Oh, yeah. These are just the beans. They're pretty much done. You're not going to believe what those are growing in. Teeny pots. See those 2 teeny pots in there? It's layered. So it's small pots on a bigger pot on another pot. And this plant became massive. It just grew everywhere. I'm sure the roots left. And it's still flowering on the top there. So it's still going. And then we've got the walking onions. And this, we've got 2 here. We've got a celery plant and a parsley that went to seed. The parsley I collected. I want to grow more parsley than celery. Let's keep walking. I got tomatillos everywhere. And they grow under things, in things. See the tomatillos? I've got big ones and small ones. These are kind of on the small side. Got a mustard, not a mustard, cilantro on the ground there. I keep eating it. Okay, going back to this really quick. Look at the size of this. Look at the size of these leaves. This is no joke. It's hard to hold the camera and do it all, but look at this. Look at this. Look at the size of the leaf. All of them. 2 collared plants are here. I believe it's 2 collared plants under this jungle. And then the red Swiss chard is in that small pot. Can you see that small pot there? Okay. That's what the red Swiss chard is growing in. But this is another one of those bins. This one has a bottom. So I believe there's some holes. I think this one does have some holes on the bottom. And there might be some in the back on the side. Now, this is where I compost in place. If I have no place to throw my compost, I'll throw it in there. I continue to compost. The bins will drop as everything breaks down inside, the contents. So you just put more compost on top. But when you water it, it leaches out, of course, and it goes into the ground. Well, where do you think all that wonderful tea is going? Into these plants. Look at the size of them. It's just a shame I don't like my collard. My husband does. I bought him a fajita maker, and he's now putting it in tortillas, and he said it's so good. Maybe I'll try it. I don't know. But that is so great. I have to explain how to do that. I'm using it everywhere now. These are working so good. It's compost stations, but I'll get into that another time. Here's another one of those bins. I've got tomatillos growing in there. Again, a lot of this comes up in the compost because my husband eats a lot of tomatillos and they come up, so I leave the plants. And of course, that is papaya. And, well, I had lettuce growing in there. The celery took over. Tomatoes are still growing. These are little tiny little red tomatoes. And then look at that. What is that? My moringa tree. My pride and joy. I hope it makes it through the winter. Look at that. The thing is like, I don't know, is it 8-9 feet tall? That particular bin that it grew in, another one of my places I compost, kitchen scraps and leaves from the garden, whatever, that has no bottom. So it's directly in the ground. So we'll see what happens. This is going to be different because that tree is not that old. I planted it this year. I believe in the spring or earlier, or maybe it was summer. I don't remember. That's my strawberry tower. This is how I air layer all my strawberries, and then I move them when I cut them. I've done a video on that, on how I use foil and air layer them. There's some more of my compost tea I'm making, plant food or whatever you want to call it. It's so good and it's cheap, it costs nothing. Okay, dresser drawer that fell apart that I want to make something out of. And that's another moringa tree. And let's see, I guess I'll step out real quick on the other side of here. Celery all went to seed. And that's rosemary back there, but I got that at the 99-cent store a couple years ago. And I just stuck it in the ground. It's a massive bush now. I don't even use rosemary. Here is the papayas. Look at that. Yes, that massive papaya is in that small pot, but let me tell you, the roots have long left. So they are now out in the ground. There's another one of these compost bins that I use. Everything is composted in place. I don't move it unless I need it for something, then I can shovel it out. Here is the other papaya tree that's got papayas on it as well, and now it's starting with some more. I've got some mint. They were in a pot, but they kind of left. And this is orange mint, and then I've got chocolate mint. See the difference? Orange mint is lighter, and chocolate mint kind of has a purpley stem. I don't know if you can see the difference. I think you can see the difference because it's pretty. Oh yeah, I'm looking now through the camera. You can definitely see it. Look how beautiful it is. I prefer the chocolate mint when it comes to making tea. I really like the flavor. And I've made a video on that, on how I make my tea, and it gets rid of dry skin and everything. Oh my God, it's just wonderful. But anyways, I put a little stevia in there sometimes because I grow stevia, and sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. And, lovely, something dug in there. Probably that possum. Anyways, that's a zucchini. It's kind of on its last leg, but I'm going to see if I can save it. I have a trick on how to have zucchini all year round, so I'm going to try to see if I can save that. See, I didn't know where to put all the kitchen scraps yesterday, and I just put this one together. And I'm dumping it in here. I could have covered it with wood chips. I mean, we know we got tons of wood chips, see? Hey, we have wood chips everywhere. And that's what I should have done, and I didn't bother. But you know, nothing dug it, nothing touched it. This compost bin, as you can see, the holes on the bottom are leaching out when you overwater it. It's about 2 inches from the bottom. It's feeding this papaya. This papaya tree was very small. So now, look at that. It's got fruit starting and everything. It really needs to be fed, so this is going to work perfect. Here, I don't know if I'll plant anything in this compost bin, but I'm going to plant my plants in pots. Sorry. And that should work perfect. I'm just going to plant it in pots and then put them on top. So we'll see how that goes. See, I used the dresser drawer there. And that's another papaya that came out of, it just came up from the compost, and I stuck it there. I was actually composting in place in this small pot. See that pot? There's no bottom on it. So I stuck it next to this papaya tree about a month ago, and I started dumping kitchen scraps in there and then putting wood chips on top. And that's when this tree took off. This was a very small tree compared to the other two. It just needed that extra oomph. And I think that's basically it for my garden for October. I know I forgot a lot. The truck bed is still going way back down there, and it's got way past the wood chips. It's got all kinds of, it's got a avocado tree that came up, but it's got a lot of Swiss chard in there, and there is some radishes that went to seed, and they've got millions of seeds on there I'm going to collect. There's the wall I've got to clean up. And if I can get my act together and get it cleaned up the way I want, I should be able to have zucchini all year long. I did it last year. I was harvesting zucchini in November and December. And that's what I want to do again. I want to do a video exactly on how I found out for me this works. And I will have zucchini, but I've got to do something different. So, oh, see? Let's see. Look at this. You've got the zucchini there. You can use tooling to keep some creatures away if you want. It works on some of them. There's more zucchini coming up in there. And of course, I've got tomatoes in here and tomatillos. Some Swiss chard, and I've got to clean this up. And there's another moringa tree I planted there, and more zucchini down there. But this really is a mess. I got to clean it up. We're fighting with Bermuda grass that got in there, and I've been pulling it out, but I'll take care of it. Okay, so we got another load, of course, of wood chips that came Friday. That's right, Friday afternoon. They brought another load. Look at this. You probably can't even see it on the camera how massive it is. Well, we have so many. Oh, look at the flycatcher. Let's see if I can zoom in on him. You know, I I'm talking about my garden, but I just love wildlife. Look at that. I love flycatchers. Aren't they beautiful? Now I have everybody screaming, "You're wasting my time, you're wasting my time." I'm sorry, I think that is just so amazing. And he hangs around here because, you know, there's bugs around. And he's doing his job, and that's what he's doing right now. He's chasing little bugs. Okay. Well, that's basically it. Like I said, there's wood chips everywhere. I know, come on. Now you have to tell me that's adorable. Okay, now he knows I'm filming him. He went back over to the old truck bed where I've got things growing in there. So that's it, but we did get another load on Friday. We've got, I don't know how many loads here, but apparently they're bringing the Bobcat back one day soon to move some more. And sometimes they sit under the tree and have coffee. And what's so beautiful is the other day we were having coffee and the deer walked by. It was just, you know, I've been out here when I had 2 deers walk by. It scared me the first time. The first time I was sitting out here and it walked by, I didn't know what it was. I thought it was a donkey. I didn't realize they're so big. Just kind of walked by with those big ears and big massive animal. I didn't expect it to come out and walk through the yard. Did I have my camera that day? No. But I have my memories, and that was amazing. Okay, all. So that's what's going on in October. See that I pulled out. That's just celery seed. My husband's going to take these big branches with celery seed all over it. He's going to throw them around the yard. He said there's places he wouldn't mind let it, you know, come up wild. So he's just going to snap them off and drag them somewhere, and he will have a lot of celery. And there's already, see the babies in there? See little green specks? That's new celery. It's getting ready. Citrus are doing good too. Nothing really on the other side of the wall to show, I don't think. So that's the garden for October. Pretty good. We should have food all month without a problem. I buy very little produce for us, you know, at the store. I don't really need a lot. We've got onions growing in my husband's garden, big, you know, white onions, purple onions, or I should say red onions. And regular yellow onions. I had a couple onions up here, regular onions. I've already used those. So that's the October walkthrough. And I'll get some other stuff together soon that I want to show because I have come up with a theory on how to keep squash growing zucchini all year round. For all of you that do have a garden or a yard, get some moving water in there. See, there's another bin I'm starting to compost. Get some moving water. This changed my life up here. I was picking tomato hornworms and those loopers and everything all the time. I had almost given up on doing gardening. And these 2 water features are brought in. All you need is one. But as soon as I brought them in, it brought in all these birds. And they now, my goodness, I was just having coffee sitting here watching them in the plants. And they just hunt and hunt. So they hunt and hunt and hunt, and they stay here and they drink and they eat their food because the insect ones will just go through and collect all the little insects. And when the hornworms are really small, that's when they eat them. So we never even find them at all because they're eating them as they're hatching. So they're great to have, get a water feature. No joke, before the water features, we would be picking off 100 plus. And it was just terrible. I just didn't even want to deal with it because you go out there and your tomato plant would be just decimated. There'd be nothing left. They'd eat the tomatoes, the flowers, the leaves, everything. So it's not like you're just letting them share. They just completely wipe out the plant. So that's why I love our water features. I love our wildlife, especially the birds. You know, that's the ones we really enjoy. I like my rabbits and everything else. And that's about it. I guess if you like this video, please, I guess I'm supposed to say like and subscribe. If you have any questions, you know, feel free to ask me questions. We go through them, my husband and I. I go through them, he goes through them. So, and if we miss you, I'm really, really sorry because there's so many. Sometimes they get buried and they're hard to see all of them, but we're doing the best we can. If you'd like to see other videos on something, you know, leave it underneath and just send me a message underneath on YouTube here and we'll go ahead and get something else up. So I guess that's it for now. And let's see, Kitty, you want some broccoli? Oh, yes, she does. Let's see, I just saw a piece of broccoli. Here it is. I love the sprouting broccoli. You want to see how broccoli's good for you? Here, Kitty. Kitty. Where's your broccoli? Oh, look at this. Just proves to you that even dogs need their own. She's going to go hide and eat it. She thinks I might take it away from her because she has a habit of going and picking her own. Sometimes it's the whole plant if it's little. Okay, so everybody have a great day. And as she's telling you, don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye. And maybe I'll get a camera that doesn't shut off on me after 20 minutes. No, I love my camera. Have a great day and don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye.